all, and welcome. Today we will be discussing the United Fruit Company. In the 1890s, the U.S. was going through a phase of imperialization. The U.S. was spreading its grasp on the world. In 1890, the Sherman Antitrust Act was passed. It was the first federal statute to limit cartels and monopolies to prevent the artificial gouging of prices by restriction of trade or supply, and today still forms the basis for most antitrust legislation by the United States federal government. Then in 1893, the U.S. Marines removed the Queen of Hawaii, annexing Hawaii from Japan due to American business interest on the island. As U.S. reach increased, the economic power swelled as well. The U.S. desire for an overseas manifest destiny began to grow. Therefore, the United States focused on Cuba and its neighboring Latin regions for more global influence and profit. Spain refused to hand over Cuba. War ensued over the sinking of the USS Maine. Finally, in December 1898, the U.S. won, and the Treaty of Paris was signed, giving the U.S. the Latin influence it craved. Meanwhile, in the good old U.S. of A., a merger between Minor C. Keith's banana trading concerns and Andrew C. Preston's Boston Fruit Company created the United Fruit Company. It would create monopolies in many parts of Latin America, coining the term Banana Republic as a result. During the early 20th century, a free market economy caused U.S. corporations to expand outside of government jurisdiction, thus causing these corporations to abuse their influence in other countries by monopolizing a country's lack of diverse exports, showing the continued corruption of U.S. corporations. Now, when looking behind your average banana, you would not know of the blood spilt and the tears shed and the sweat dripped for your privileged consumption of that yellow potassium-filled delight you call a banana. The average American consumes roughly 25 pounds of banana a year, or the equivalent to about 100 average-sized bananas. Being found in a variety of products, such as banana splits, banana bread, and banana shakes, bananas are deeply ingrained into our culture. One could say we are bananas for bananas.
Chiquita Bananas, being the world's leading supplier of bananas, centered its production in the banana republics of South America. The company was originally known as the United Fruit Company. By the native South American population, it was called El Pulpo, the octopus, because of its reach across the Caribbean and Latin America. El Pulpo, with its tentacles, spread across Latin and South America, building railroads and seaports. By owning all these industries, the company mobilized everything from the planting to the selling of the banana at the supermarket. In having this monopoly, the United Fruit Company controlled pay and conditions of the workers. The problem wasn't that the workers were not getting paid well. It was the fact that any one worker didn't have job security. Jobs were offered on a daily first-come, first-served basis, and when wages were higher, job conditions were worse.
The fact that the United Fruit Company was the main employer in the banana area and produced most of the business for dock workers aggravated the problem of sporadic work. While waiting for the United Fruit Company to call on them to work, natives had a hard time finding other ways to earn wages. Even worse, if for some reason the United Fruit Company decided to fire any of its workers to lower their salaries or in any other way to downgrade their working conditions, there was little other opportunity for workers to find a different source of income. In addition, during this period, the company cut back on employees as more technology was introduced. The total number of United Fruit Company employees went down from more than 15,000 to just over 9,000. In other Central American countries, the United Fruit Company had also pulled out of areas where the land was no longer in good condition and left behind massive unemployment. For the workers, the knowledge of their limited status of work and the general freedom of the company to hire and fire at will would lead to efforts to gain more control over their working conditions. Natives would strike in an attempt to keep their jobs and have better working conditions.
This led to the strike that took place on December 6, 1928, near the town of Cienega near Santa Marta, Colombia. As the workers petitioned for the bread and butter issues, including a shorter work week, better hours, and a written contract for employees, the Colombian army was dispatched from Bogota, a force that specialized in dealing with strikes. The strikers were hoping to meet a Colombian government official to mediate the terms of their dispute. They were instead met with the forces of Cortés Vargas. He ordered the crowd to disperse, and 5 minutes after giving the order, soldiers began to fire into the crowd. Vargas would only admit responsibility for 47 of the deaths that day, but the actual number of lives lost cannot be confirmed because after the bloodbath, the soldiers were ordered to dump the bodies into the ocean. Today, it is believed that anywhere between 9 to 3,000 lives were lost that day. The killings were justified by the labeling of the demonstrators as Marxists and anarchists.
These official, declassified U.S. documents show the communication between the U.S. government and the Colombian government over the strike occurring outside Santa Marta. Strikers are called a band of communists that brutally murder Colombian soldiers. In turn, these strikers are hunted down and shot. Lawrence Cody ensures that the Colombian government was acting in complete legal jurisdiction under martial law. Later, as the strikes ended, Jefferson Caffrey writes that the number of casualties exceeded over 1,000. He does not mention how this number came to be, and he also does not assign blame to either party involved in the massacre. Caffrey only states the basic facts of the situation. This shows the Colombian effort to discredit the striker movement and prioritize that U.S. lives were safe and the Colombian export to the United States was restored. Since these are classified files, the U.S. was not obligated to share them with the public once the massacre had occurred. Thus, the massacre had minimal press coverage in the United States.
This abuse of the common worker showed that the United Fruit Company never really respected the workers. The United Fruit Company rebranded itself as Chiquita Banana, and the banana production is still centered in Latin America. Controversy has not left the company, and natives still remember the atrocities committed by Chiquita.
I'm Chiquita Banana, and I've come to say bananas have to ripen in a certain way, and when they're flecked with brown and have a golden hue, bananas taste the best and are the best for you. You can put them in a salad. No, not yet, my dear. That greenish way you're looking means that you are ripe for cooking.
How about me?
No, when you are fully ripe, my dear, those little flecks of brown appear.
Me?
You're most digestible, my friend, delicious too from end to end. You can put them in a pie, any way you want to eat them. It's impossible to beat them, but bananas like the climate of the very, very tropical equator. So you should never put bananas in the refrigerator. Bananas are a solid food that doctors now include in baby's diet. And since they are so good for baby, I think we all should try it.
Oh!
See.